Bijan here. Before we begin, if you'd like the PDF that goes along with this lesson, see the link in the description below. And if you want more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. All right, Bijan here. That was Chick Corea's Matrix. In this lesson, we're going to be covering the melody of Matrix. We're going to be talking about the technique in order to execute this, and we're going to look at the fingering. And this melody also features a cross hands technique, as you may have noticed in the introduction there. This is commonly used in classical music, but it's a skill that's rarely utilized in jazz. So this gives us a great opportunity to introduce that technique and to get some exposure and work on it. So first thing, let's just take this melody apart. This is a blues, so it's only 3 phrases. So let's look at the first phrase. Let's look at the fingering in both hands. So this melody, the way Chick plays it, is what he does is he plays this 2 octaves apart and single unison lines. Typically, a lot of times people will play the melody in the right hand, chords in the left hand. With this melody, and I think it's a great one because it's so intervallic and it's really distinct. So if you play it in 2 hands, it adds a really nice texture and really nice color to the melody. So let's look at the right hand first, starting with finger 1, jumping up to finger 3. I'm doing what I call a climb. So these bottom notes, don't worry about those so much. Let's just talk about the top notes. The phrase 3. I'm climbing 3 to 3. Now here you can keep climbing, or what I do is I change the 4. I go 5, and then I keep climbing 5, 5, 5. Okay? So 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5. Okay? It's a similar thing in the left hand. Your hands are inverse, so you're going to have finger 5 on the bottom. But what I do in the left hand here is I actually climb 1 all the way to the top. 1, 1, 1. Oh, let me do it again. 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay? And it works really nicely, and it allows you to easily get that in your left hand without having to worry too much about what fingers to use and how to change and how to cross whatever. Just keep it simple. Climb with that 1 in the left hand, and with your right hand, you can do that climb. Or you may have other climb options that work for you. That's ultimately when it comes down to fingering, you got to find what works for you. There's some general principles, and there's stuff that I like, there's stuff that I prefer, but what I like may not work best for you, right? Everybody's hand size is different, everybody's preference is different. But whatever your fingering is, you got to make sure it allows you to, you have to have control. You have to be able to play it evenly with the metronome. You can't let the fingering get the best of you. Whatever fingering you choose, even if it's tempting, if you can't play it even, it's pointless. So you got to be able to play it even, you got to be able to play it at various speeds, and you got to be able to control the dynamics and articulation with it. Okay? As long as you can do that, you can play whatever the heck fingering you want. Okay? So that's the melody in the first 4 bars. That's phrase number 1. Now phrase number 2 is the one that features the cross hand section. So let's take a look at that. First, you have this very interesting chord here. And this is not a harmonic analysis. It's not what we're talking about in this video. But I just want to point out that this chord here, usually this is where you play a B-flat 7 in the blues. And he has these notes which are not the notes of a B-flat 7. This actually looks like a G7. Because you have your 3rd and 7th of G7. You have a tritone here in your left hand. And if you're thinking of it as a G7, these are all altered notes of the G7 chord. Right? But over B-flat 7, it's kind of a weird sounding thing, but hey, who are we to question Chick? That's why Chick is one of the greatest composers of all time, and the rest of us are learning from him, right? So it's a really cool sound though, right? So you have this chord, and then what I do is I go to finger 3. You could go to finger 4 if you want to. For me, that seems like extra movement. My finger 3 is already set up there, so I like to go straight to finger 3. And I like to bring 3 back down, and I do 1, 2, 4 here. Now, this next measure, measure 6, is where everybody plays it a certain way that I don't think allows them to play it very effectively. Okay, so a lot of people don't cross their hands there. They just play it with the right hand. You notice, first of all, I'm luckily getting this very accurately, but I can't get this consistently. If I did this 100 times, maybe half the times I'd mess up one of the notes and it wouldn't get there because, right, you're on that, you have to all of a sudden jump from pinky on C to your thumb being here and your pinky being there, right? And you have very, very little time to do it, especially at the tempo they play it at. They play it around here like 126 BPM, half note, right, around there. So, but even if you're able to get it accurately, you can't really control the dynamics of that, right? And that's the worst situation that you could possibly be in, to have the fingering be controlling you, right? The fingering is telling you what dynamic to play there. It's forcing you to accent that even when you're not trying to, right? There's just no way you can play that in a calm, relaxed manner because it's not calm and relaxed. You're not over there in advance and able to set up and play it. You're jumping there at the last minute. So by crossing your hands, you're able to set up in that down space, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So during that whole beat 1, your right hand can do what I call hand traveling. You go 1, 2. And so you're able to set up. You're able to travel your hand and set up over that chord ahead of time. Now, what I want you to do with the cross hand section is do the same thing in the left hand. You notice how I'm getting over this before I have to play it? Because if you get to it at the last minute, it's the same problem, right? So use this dead space to get over it in advance so you can comfortably and accurately play those notes. Also note when I'm doing cross hands, the left hand goes under, then the right hand goes over. Okay? You don't want to put your left hand over. That's a whole nother mess. So put your left hand under, then right hand over. And there you go. Now you have a really effective and accurate way that you can play that second phrase. Let's keep going here. The last phrase. Right, real simple there. You're going to pedal that 5 on top, and your left hand, it's going to be the 1 that's going to stay on top. What I want you to focus on are the notes that are changing. What I wrote here for you is 3, 3, 2, 2, 2. Now, you may want to do 3, 2, change here instead of staying to 3. That's up to you. Now sometimes we do a grace note here. If you were going to do a grace note instead of doing 2, I would want to do 2 to 3. Now same thing with the left hand. 2, 3, 3, 4. And I would go 4, 5, but if you're going to do a grace note, you're going to go 4 to 3. And together. Right. One other thing to note about this melody is the way Chick does it in the recording. The first time he plays the head is actually quite different from the second time when he plays it. The first time he plays that all as quarter notes. And short too. But later times, the second time he plays it, and the head out I think also, he, instead of doing quarter notes, he does like a dot at eighth and then a dotted quarter. Right? And even that second line there, the first time he does it, it's a pickup on the and of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. But later on, he actually just moves that over to the downbeat. 1, 2, and does that as triplets. 1, 2. Sometimes I think he even does it as eighth notes. 1 and 2 and. Right? But the first time I know he does the and of 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then all eighth notes there. Right? But just note that there's some variation. So when you're working on this, please be sure to work on this in small chunks, 2 or 4 bars at a time. Don't try to do all 12 at once. Start slow. Start at like half note equals 60 BPM. Your desired tempo, your goal tempo, the final tempo that they play this at, that you're going to want to reach, is 126. But don't just jump to 126 all at once. Start slower, start at that 60 BPM, then bump it up one notch at a time, right? And I've written the metronome notches for you at the bottom of this page. Nowadays with electronic metronomes, everybody just goes up one, and they, electronic metronomes have all those tempos, 61 and 62, 63, 64. But those tempos are not real tempos, right? And you don't need to go through each one like that, otherwise it'll take an eternity. The real metronome notches from, I'm actually old enough that I actually use physical metronomes. I have a whole video on this and what the actual metronome, the correct metronome notch tempos are, but that's for another time, not for now. But just keep in mind, I wrote that for you at the bottom of the page. That's 60, 63, 66, 69, 72. Then it goes increments of 4. 76, 80, 84, 88, 92, 96, 100, 104, 108, 112, 116, 120. Then it goes increments of 6, 126. Okay? So, have a lot of fun with this melody. This is a really beautiful melody, one that you can always play whenever you have to play an F blues. So enjoy this, respect this technique, have fun with this cross hand section, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching this sample clip from my exclusive lesson library for my private correspondence students. To come on board, email me, we could set up a free Zoom session and I could tell you all about it. Or click the link in the description to read more about my personalized correspondence lessons. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you.